Hello you creative people of the internet, and welcome back to Flowworks channel. Now before we get into this week's digital painting, and it's going to be an abstract painting again this week, I just wanted to catch up on a pet portrait of my little dog Monty that I created a few weeks back. If you haven't seen that video, then make sure you go and check that out after you've watched this video. This was essentially the painting that I created. So I painstakingly photographed my dog in different sort of positions using correct lighting and everything, and then I took that photo and I took it into Procreate, which is the application we're going to be using today, and I started to enhance some of the features of the dog and turn it into a bit of a modern abstract sort of broken up pet portrait, something that's a bit more modern than what you'd normally sort of see as a traditional portrait of a pet basically. And what I was trying to achieve was I was just picking out some of his features but just extending them slightly, so around his mouth sort of bringing out those colours, and his eyelashes sort of really bringing those out. And then I wanted to pick a colour that I knew that we was moving into a new house, and I knew the sort of furnishing colours that we were going for. So yeah, I sort of picked a blue, a deep blue, because that's sort of in keeping with the bar stools that we've got in the kitchen, along with the cabinet sort of colours and all the furnishings and everything. But initially I said I was going to print this onto a canvas, but I changed my mind at the last minute. I really liked the mock-up that I created here of Monty within this sort of picture frame. So I went with a black picture frame but with an insert of a silver finish to it, so it just makes it that little bit more modern. So yeah, really happy with how little Monty Carlo turned out, and that sits proudly in our kitchen. So we're going to dive straight into Procreate. Now I have been playing about with Procreate and been coming up with some more abstract pieces of art that I want to sort of show some techniques and styles with you. But yeah, I'm really sort of liking this type of style and technique. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to do another square piece, 500mm by 500mm. So this week I've come up with a colour palette, and I'm going to leave a link in the description down below where you can download that from. So what have I done with the colour palette? Well, I've picked some natural colours that I really sort of lean towards, and then I've come up with some complementary colours to each sort of colour within that spectrum. So in the blues you've got like a darkish blue, and then a complementary sort of array of colours here, and that sort of goes through into the greys, into the greens, and I've chucked in some real dark tones of those different greens as well, coming into some complementary sort of oranges and a couple of sort of reds up there as well. So I'm going to keep the palette really limited to these colours. I might sort of adjust them very slightly when I'm working on it, but essentially we're going to try and come up with an abstract painting that has these colours in it. Okay, hold on tight, let's get strapped right in. So we're going to start off by picking up on some of the lighter colours. We're going to start off with this greyish yellow, and I'm going to chuck that greyish yellow in as the overall background to this piece to start with. So we're going to sort of create that as our base sort of background, and that is the background, actual background colour to this piece. And we're going to go in with a new layer over the top. And the brushes that I'm going to be mucking about with today, I'm getting some really good effects out of these charcoal brushes. But again, we're going to be using the Artist oil paint ones, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I downloaded a load of brushes, so the Artist oil ones, from a website called Envato Elements, and it's a subscription based website that you can download different brush packs on there. So yeah, if you wanted to, go and check that out. I'll leave another link to the brush sets down below as well. So the next colour that we're going to try and complement the greyish orange on top of this. So we're going to select that colour, and we're on a layer here. We're going to use a charcoal brush, nice and big, and I'm just literally trying to put in a bit of a textured little background here. So I'm just going to throw that in there, and I might sort of darken it up with some of this brown as well. And then the greyish green, still on the charcoal. I just want to feed in a bit of texture.
I am not a raincoat here to keep you warm. Then go back in the closet after the storm. I'm not a match simply waiting to burn. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end.
Okay, we're going to go in with a new layer straight over the top of that. We're going to be a little bit bold with the colour, so we're going to come back down to this section and the cyan blue. So we're going to come over to the selection tool with the freehand. I'm just going to draw in a bit of a shape down here of how I want the structure to this abstract painting to look. We're just going to click and we're going to just freehand in just a block of colour, and that's going to chuck that in as one big block of colour. That doesn't matter about the shape. If you're not too happy with it, we can adjust this in a minute. So we could make it bigger or smaller. And then I'm going to paint some texture within that shape. So you want to click on that and you want to click on Alpha Lock, and that will only affect the paint with inside this shape. So I'm going to go in with the complementary or the different tone of this blue.
You gave her it. And I'm not here to criticize the risk. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end. I am not a witness here to call you in for the things that you done or that thing that you did. And I'm not the shadow of anyone you've been. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end. All I am is a friend, your friend till the end.
Okay, we're going to turn that Alpha Lock back off, and then with the erase tool back onto charcoal, and I'm just going to break up some of that image so this background is coming through onto the shape as well. Muck about with the brush size as well where you're breaking it up. Now you could be breaking it up on some corners. I'm just trying to sort of tie it in a little bit with the background still. And also have a play with liquify as well. You can sort of push part of this about, so we can sort of bring an element of movement around on this as well. And that will sort of add texture within this as well once you've started to layer all those colours in. Just going to break a little bit more of that up. Okay, we're going to go in with a new layer on top of this one. I'm going to go back into my palette and click on dark green with the selection tool. I'm going to freehand in another section of colour. So that might be a big old block of colour that's maybe down here. And I think I want that sitting behind that other layer. So I'm just sort of adding a bit more depth into this piece already. And then with the colour again, we're going to add some texture within that by turning the Alpha Lock on. Again, Alpha Lock off, and then start to break up certain parts. with Liquify, I'm just gonna try and move this around as well. I like the way that that formed a shape with the blue, so I'm trying to form a bit of a shape with the green. I don't know what it means, but it's in my head and it's starting to look good. Create a new layer, and now we're going to start to create a bit more of a shape in the background on this. So we're going to go with dark green, and we're going to use the freehand tool, and maybe there's some kind of shape that goes all the way across there like so, and then bring that to the back. I'm just going to sit that over that layer as well, and again just going to create some texture with inside that. I'm going to muck about with the blues a bit more as well now, so I just want to play about with the hue of that blue, and maybe there's another shape that comes across here. I've just turned it alpha lock on that shape that I've just produced, and I'm just on one edge just really darkening it up, just to sort of give a interest of depth to it. Okay, we're going to do one new layer. We're going to sit this on top of everything, and we're just going to start to change brushes now. So we're going to go to the lettering brush. Now this is sort of the fun part, is pick quite a small brush and then just start to sort of doodle. And as I say, I'm just going to start to just let the Apple Pencil do its own thing. I'm just holding it really lightly, and I'm just making some marks on the iPad itself.
Wind me up and watch me choke. He could build me with feathers and break me with smoke. Holds me till I can't breathe.
Have a little play about with the lettering brushes and maybe sort of change the colour slightly. Try and keep these small because they're like sort of detailed pieces. Try and think that, you know, a lighter colour is going to work better over a darker section.
I've got cracks on my back and my shoulder and my wing. You see, I'm an angel, but I do bad things. And when you want me, well, I'll be gone. So talk to me another time. See, I don't need your
Okay, this is really starting to sort of work now, so we're going to do another layer. I'm going to bring that one down a couple of layers. And this is where I want to introduce those accent colours. So we haven't played about with any of these oranges and stuff, so this is what's really going to sort of make your eye sort of draw into this piece as well. And for that, we're going to go to the Artist Oil Paints. I'm going to use the bristle smear. And again, we're just going to create some areas of interest.
Because I got mine. Oh, won't you look for me on a different day? I wanna be the one that got away. I wanna be the one that got away.
So it wasn't quite the right brush that I was looking for. I just want to, yeah, that's better. So I just want to, with these bold colours, I just want to create some marks, some of these areas as well.
You know you're the reason that I left. Know when you want me, well I'll be gone. So talk to me another time. See, I don't need your recklessness, because I got mine. Oh, won't you look for me on a different day? I wanna be the one that got away. I wanna be the one that got away. Just let me go. You won't need what you don't know. Just set me free. It's your love that's killing me. So talk to me another time. See, I don't need your recklessness, because I've got mine.
I just want to create some kind of big mark, like a circular brush mark over the top. So for that, I'm just going to draw a circle and then hold down this button and then hold down on the screen, and then I can enlarge that circle as to where I want it. And because that's on a layer of its own, I can select the layer and then bring that into where I want. So I was just trying to get that circular graphic that's sort of going over the top of this, so it's sort of drawing you in. And I might just look at the colour on this. I'm just going into the hues and just working out what colour sort of suits that.
Sail on off the radar and venture.
Okay, I'm finally starting to get somewhere with this piece. I just want to quickly try out one last thing. I'm going to do a new layer. I'm going to bring this down a few layers. And with the selection tool, I'm just going to draw a rectangle of colour. That's going to be in the blue tones, but quite white. I'm just going to enlarge it slightly. And then with the eraser tool, I'm just going to break it up in some
I
areas.
no longer feel you here.
And then I'm just going to click on the layer and see what it's like when I start to play about with some of the effects on the layer. So soft light ties it in with the piece, quite nice, but sort of really brightens up that section. So I quite like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be straight either. And then you can start to go in, if you wish, and then muck about with some of the hues on some of the other layers, because sometimes you've got that layer that's sitting behind it, and just mucking about with the brightness on them sort of gives it a bit more depth into the piece as well. So that is this week's abstract digital piece of art. I'm going to call this one Fighting Dragons. I don't know why. These just remind me of sort of dragons. But essentially it gives you an idea of how to create some really abstract art that's really modern for your wall. But as I say, yeah, if you want to download my palette of colours so you can achieve this sort of overall look and feel, then yeah, please do that. Link is down in the description below. As I say, I will be doing more actual physical paintings, but it's going to be literally a few months before I get everything set up. House is still in chaos at the minute, boxes everywhere. But for now, I'm just trying to sort of get as much art out there as I can. And for me as well, to obviously still practice some techniques and some styles and mark making as well to create those abstract paintings. So if you like the sound of all that, please subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every single Wednesday I'm releasing a video. And until next week, you have a great week, and make sure you pick up your iPad and your iPad pencil and start creating your digital painting.